Hi, Tiffany.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay. That was hysterical. I had some music playing through my sound bed
Yeah.
and I didn't realize it was coming through my speaker. And I was like, oh, Lorraine has really nice music playing. And then I was like, wait a minute, that's my music.
Nice music.
It was like a little introduction soundtrack coming in. It was funny.
One day I will be that organized and with it with the text. I'm I'm doing pretty good for now.
I hear ya.
I got my gong. I got my singing bowl.
Nice. No, I'm getting
This is
ready to
ancient.
purchase a new gong. Ooh,
This is
yeah.
this is an ancient singing bowl.
Yeah.
Mm, yeah. It makes a nice sound when you ding, but it doesn't. Was it going to do it? It doesn't usually hum when I was in the store or sing.
Hmm.
When I was in the store, the mallet that was in there worked great for it. And I haven't been able to find another mallet and they wouldn't.
Hold your hold your
Oh, I'm hot. I am not
go
doing
at more of a angle when you're holding your mouth. Yeah, like that. So you catch the rim a little bit different, and then you might be able to.
you hear it still like skipping little areas where it skips.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it's just that little 45-degree angle. Getcha. Yeah.
Let me
Nice.
turn down my heat because I'm really hot and I can't. I'm not dressed in a way that I can just take this hoodie off.
I'm gonna grab a pen.
Hi, Kristen, Parissa, Vanessa.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Woo. We're gonna have fun today.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just want to let you know I am here. I am not going anywhere. I'm just like still scrambling and eating and whatnot. So I will be on camera as soon as I'm done doing gross things you don't want to see.
All right, sounds good. And Catherine will be coming tonight as well. She's just on her way home. So let's do some check-ins. I really want to hear how things have been going with y'all. So, I'll give you, let's do 2 minutes each. And what I really want to hear from you is how I've grown so far. 'Cause it's been almost 30 days.
Mhm.
It's been exactly 4 weeks, five weeks. Yes. I think I would know by now, the wise woman I am. And so yeah, how I have grown so far on this journey has been so whoever actually let's take a moment to drop in and we'll connect inside. And Marissa, I think there's some staticky interference. There we go. Yeah. So yeah, check in, notice what's alive inside right now. And we've been going over this nest meditation in being noticing. And it can also be number. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how activated are you right now? And activated could be positive or negatively charged. That scale could be that the 10 could be I'm super excited or I'm super anxious on a scale of 1 to 10. Just where are you? And then scan your body, either bouncing around or head to toe. And notice the E, emotions, S, sensations, T, thoughts. So nest. And now when I ask you this question, the ways I've grown the most are, notice what arises. Notice now how you can bring more softening, relaxation, letting go to your body. Creating that relaxed muscle body. And then slowly come back into the space. Something I don't think I've shared with you is when you're on mute, all you have to do is press and hold your space bar and it'll unmute you. And then when you let off the space bar, it'll mute you again. So that's an option, especially if there's some background interference there. So whoever would like to start first, and then you can select the next person. And I'll set the timer 2 minutes. You can use the whole 2 minutes or not.
I can go first.
Sure.
Alrighty. I think I don't really know how to put it or how I've grown, but things I've definitely been more attentive to me, a lot more aware of what my wants are and how if I don't do something about those, that my life is not going to be pleasant and I'm not, it's a continuation of what has been. So not so much of changing my environment or changing other people, just me actively doing things to improve myself and improve my environment and those who I bring in around me. And I've been doing things to make that happen. So that has been a really big growth for me, just recognizing that I'm here and I have things that I need in being here and doing things about that.
Beautiful.
Can you believe I did that in under 2 minutes?
Yes. Look how you've grown.
I know, right?
All right. Who do you choose to go next?
Forgot about that. I'm sorry. Kristen.
So yeah, I've grown, I think mostly in the practice of noticing. And it's been an interesting journey with, you know, the idea of setting goals that you choose yourself and then holding yourself accountable to them, and then what you bump up against along the way has been really, really enlightening. And at first blush, I would think, of course, I can do these daily goals because I'm the one who set them. And several of them are things that, you know, I love to do and I know are supportive and healthy, and I do regularly anyway. And then noticing sort of what happens, like the energy shifts when they become items on your to-do list or chores or something that you must accomplish, right? And then here's an R word, like my resistance to doing them. And that came up. And then noticing what my relationship is to resistance has been really, really expansive for me. So yeah, I will just say that I've learned more um, through that process than I anticipated, and am sort of, yeah, opening doors in myself that I didn't even know that they were there, much less that they were closed. So um, yeah, it's been eye-opening, and again, getting much better at noticing and just sitting with and observing and feeling into those things and being curious about them versus, oh, I'm not resistant, you know. So, and thank you all for um, hearing me out and holding space for me. So that's how I've grown. Harissa.
Both Vanessa and Kristen touched on um, growth areas that I resonate with. And I will also add that I'm more future oriented and present oriented than past oriented. And that kind of makes all the difference. I caught myself today ruminating about my past relationship, and then the focus then becomes on that person and not me. Um, and I decided to shift my focus on what my path looks like, or could look like. So I started entertaining the possibilities. And yeah, I think that mental shift has allowed me to grow more resilient and regulated and in the high vibration energy department.
Sweet. So that leaves you, Tiffany.
Oh, I just did the space bar. So what came up for me was focusing or looking at when we started to right now. I feel so much more in my alive, healthy body than my survival body that I had been living in. So I feel more grounded in where I'm at and more focused in on where I'm going, and being in true choice has been a great lesson for me. So I choose you, Lorraine.
Oh, thanks. Oh, I didn't even tune into when I was leading that. Okay. All right, give me a second. So I've grown in a lot of ways since starting this, and it started well before we even began together. A lot of transformation around self-belief and I can do itness, and follow through and time management. It's been really great for me that we've met twice a week, because having those two deadlines is really good for me to do the things and stuff without all the procrastination. And that's one reason that the daily commitments have been really good for me as well, because it's historically been really easy for me to put something off to tomorrow and put things off to tomorrow, and then there's the looming deadline, and then it's like, oh well, I can really do this, and then I'm scrambling to get it all done, and exerting all of my resources, and then having to just like lay and do nothing to recover for a while. And there has been a fair amount of that in this, but it's yeah, the amount of joy and excitement and that I've had in the process with this, and having, you know, I've had a somewhat set curriculum, and then just going like, okay, I need to switch all of this up because of what's alive, what's showing up for each of you. And like, okay, how, going back to the drawing board and saying, okay, how am I going to recreate this so that each person is getting exactly what they need? And so that aspect of creativity has been really fun. And also, like, when I see the fruits of my planning pay off, it's been extremely fulfilling to be like, yes, I'm glad I put in all of that extra energy to redo things because it worked. Yeah. So yeah. All righty. So one of the things I've realized in this process is what I thought I could do in 30 days, I overshot. And I really want to be able to give you all of these skills and tools that I think really are foundational tools to have in your tool belt for the rest of your life. And so I know a couple of you said that you could go in an extra week. Some others might not be able to, but you'll still have access to those recordings. And so I'm going to attempt to get as much in today. This will be more teaching rather than coaching today. So pressure's off. If you're like, oh my gosh, am I going to have to talk about my emotions again? Pressure's off. So what we're going to do today is today's really all about energy management. And what does that mean? It means a lot of different stuff. Let me ask you, and I'll write this down. When you think of your energy and where your energy goes, where maybe you don't have enough energy, time can also be energy, money is energy. But when you think about where your energy goes, and so if you think a week or so ago when we did values, you came up with your top values. And then I said, give me a percentage. What percentage of your time, energy, resources are actually going towards your values? Who had a low number for that? I can't see Vanessa's hand. And who had a high number? Good, Kristen. Good, Kristen. So usually when I do this, people look and they say, oh, I'm actually not putting my energy, my resources towards the things. So we'll lower your, yeah, go ahead and do that. I didn't know my hand was up. it's not usually going towards the things that are their top priorities or values. So when you think about where your energy goes, did you mean to raise your hand, Kristen? Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
Yeah, I wanted to provide some context that the only reason why I could say that a high percentage is going towards those things is because I am not working. So it's been that's a luxury. And there was many years where, those things took very low priority for me so I realize that it's a little easier for me right now to prioritize those things.
Yeah, there's different times and seasons in our life, whether it's work or having children, where you got to eke those things out. But those tend to be part of our values as well, family. A lot of times people will have family as a top value and realize they're not actually being present with their kids. They're keeping themselves busy, their to-do list, making sure their kids are on top of things, and they realize, wow, I'm not actually attuning to my kids. I'm just ordering them around all the time. We got to go here and there, and everything has to be perfect, and we're not actually having quality time. Those are the kinds of things that become apparent. So when you think about where your energy goes, let's write down some examples of where our energy goes, because you may have heard the phrase where attention goes, energy flows. So what are you giving your attention to where your energy flows, where it's not the best use of your energy, where you're like, that's kind of a drain. So what are some energy drains?
Things I don't have.
Can you be more specific about that?
I don't have the better job. I don't have this amount of money for this thing. I don't have this many friends, or this energy or this health. Just kind of on all the things of why I can't do something, because I don't have things. That makes sense.
No. Is anyone else understanding that? Energy is flowing to what you don't have.
Where my attention goes, and sometimes even my financial and physical energy goes into the pursuit of chasing these things that I don't have. I don't know. That probably doesn't make sense.
How are you chasing these things?
Mostly in my head. It's like a Coyote and Roadrunner situation up there, where I just, it constantly brought my attention to, if we only had a better job, if we only had this, we only had that, and they both get exhausted before they do anything to change those things.
So would you call that like overthinking?
Absolutely.
Overthinking. All right.
100%.
What else? So this is thinking, thinking and thinking and thinking, but not doing the doing, not doing the action. What else? And again, you can press the space bar to just talk, and then.
Like social media.
Yeah. What else?
Worrying.
Worrying. Mm-hmm. And what or who are you worrying about?
Everyone, everything, many things that are way out of my control, but I would say worry and anxiety, right?
Mm-hmm. Which is a lot like overthinking right there. So what are things that we worry and stress about that causes our energy to get drained? Carissa, I know you got one.
family,
Yep.
ex-partners,
Politics.
Yep. Yep. What else do we worry and stress about?
Work.
Work.
how we look,
Uh-huh.
That's a good one.
Money.
I'm gonna
That was
Yeah,
mine.
another one.
add here aging,
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
definitely.
money.
Health.
Yep.
How we're perceived by others.
Mm-hmm. Perceived. Right. So we got a nice list here of all of these things that cause our energy to leak out. And it all came down to worry. Would you agree? Overthinking, anxiety, it's all forms of worry, right? And so that's going to be a main focus of what we're going to talk about today. What to do about worry so that we're not in a state of anxiety, worry, overwhelm. We can be in true choice, like Tiffany talked about, where we get to choose our vibration. Does that sound good to y'all? Y'all want to know this stuff? You want to know how to do this?
Yes.
All right. So I want to start off by sharing something with you all. Let's see. Windows, where did that go? Oh, I know why. Because it's not open. Okay, so no, not this one. We'll come back to this one. Oop. Where are you? Where are you? All right, let me just look it up this way. Do I have the same one in here twice? All right, give me a second. Okay. Are you all able to see this?
Yep.
Okay. So this is called the Hawkins vibrational scale. If any of you are familiar with him, he wrote a book. He's written several books. One of them is Power versus Force. I think that was his first one that I became introduced to 25 years ago or so. And if you look over here, are you able to see my cursor?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you see, these are emotions right over here. And what Hawkins did was he was able to measure emotions on a vibratory scale. So this is measured in hertz. And so these are low vibration or low energy emotions down here, right? In this area. And then you come up to middle section. Middle section is like pride, anger, desire. And then you come up here to 200 and above. And these are higher vibration emotions. And so this scale has been used to spiritually bypass. So a lot of people use this to bypass, to only be in the upper emotions. I'm only in my heart, my throat, my third eye, my crown, and I'm just vibrating high all the time, but I'm not paying attention to the humanness, the emotions, the things that are inside, the things that make me human. And then because of that, I'm also bypassing other people for being human. And so we go up and down the scale all the time, whether we are making ourselves aware of it and being honest with ourselves or not. We will be in shame, and then we can come up to love, acceptance. We can then go back down to apathy. Apathy can be, I'm just numb. Why bother? This is the realm of like hopeless, helpless. Nothing I do is going to work anyway, so I may as well not even try. And so obviously we all want to experience more of these upper echelon emotions right up here. And in order to do that, we have to be able to go into these lower emotions as well. As oxymoronical as that sounds, this is what we've been talking about throughout our time together. And so we've done processes on letting go. And so Hawkins talked about this process of letting go, releasing, feeling the emotions, and then letting it work out. And so as far as I know, he was one of the first people to talk about that. And it's based on this. And so you have to go up this scale in order to get to these upper parts. You can't just bypass. We're going up the scale. Now we can go up it quickly, or it could take a while for us to do this. But this is the realm of suffering and this vibration. When we get up here, we're getting by. When we get up here, we're in the flow. And then this is our authentic intuition. And a big study that was done recently, and they actually found that authenticity is a higher vibration than love. So when we're being authentic, when our words and our actions match, then that's actually putting us at a higher vibration than love. And when I talk about love, this is universal love. This is not romantic love. This is not love where there's attachments or avoidances. And so how we create suffering in our lives is through one of two things. Number one is being attached to things. And the second one is avoiding things. And so I think we're all familiar with avoidance, especially wanting to avoid these lower level vibrations. Some people get attached to these lower vibration emotions, though. If any of you are familiar with the Enneagram, I think of a number 4 or even a 5. Yeah. Again, my suffering, like think of the artist that's like really attached to their suffering and seeing the beauty in their suffering. And if I were to let go of the suffering, what would I be? Or I might even be a sellout. And so we can get attached to low vibration emotions. We can also get attached to these high vibration emotions. I want it so much that I'm not being present to what is actually here in this moment. And so, Catherine, you got a little bit of a sample of that earlier in our process together. where it's like, well, I'm just focusing on confidence. I'm focusing on confidence. And so that's an example of I'm attached to this is this thing that I want, and I want it so bad that I have attachment to it, that I'm not allowing myself to be with whatever's here right now. And so attachment is a concept that can be, it can really take a while to get, because it often doesn't make sense for me to say, hey, we're going to set goals, and we're going to set intentions, and it's about commitment. How committed am I to it? And then at the same time to say, but don't be attached to it. Like, how can I set a goal and say, yeah, I'm committed to making this happen, but I'm not attached to it? And so I know how intelligent and smart this group is, and I'd love to get your perspective on this idea of attachment.
I think of attachment as, really focusing on what the outcome is and what it looks like. So deciding how it's going to come through. And then what was the other one? Commitment, right? So commitment is saying that you are going to dedicate or put yourself in the direction of heading towards those things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I see them different that way, that again, attachment is you're deciding how it will play out, versus commitment is you're just putting yourself on the path towards.
Very good. Very good. Other ideas? Other thoughts?
I have one. Attachment could also look like wanting to only pay attention to and flow energy to that thing, whereas commitment could be you're committed to that, but you're also open to other commitments as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think my perspective is sort of a combination, maybe, or a little bit similar to Carissa and Kristen. That's, if I shipped you, that's what your name would be. Carissa. It's for me, and things I've noticed about myself is getting very attached to a certain idea and not realizing when that idea or that goal becomes outdated, and not being flexible enough to move into the thing that actually is in my best interest, and instead sort of just continuing to put that attention and that energy and that emotion into the thing that I want to work but isn't, like the proverbial brick wall situation.
So the common thread that I'm hearing in this is the how. So I can have a goal. Let's say my goal is to, make $1 million in the next year. I can set that goal and still be committed to making it happen. That means finding ways to make it happen, taking action, and I can also let go of the how. So it could happen in this way that looks most rational to me right now, like with my business. But something else could come up along the path that's guiding me towards another way to do that. And so that's when our noticing, our compass can lead us, our intuition can lead us to somewhere else. But if we're so attached to it has to come about this way, then it can actually keep us from what it is that we want. And so an analogy I like to use is, think of holding a bar of soap in your hand. And if you grab onto that soap too tightly, what happens?
Slips out from your hand.
Yeah. Yep. It'll slip right out. And so how do you have to hold that bar of soap?
Very carefully.
Loosely.
Yeah. Hold it
Yeah.
loosely.
Loosely.
Yeah. You hold it loosely so there's enough room for, wiggle room for things to flow, but you're holding it. You can keep it. You can move it all over your body and you still maintain, control of that soap. But the minute that you're like, oh, I got to make this happen, it'll slip right out. And so it's that energy. It's putting importance. I'm putting so much importance on this thing. It has to happen. It has to work out this way, that the importance of it can actually take me away from what I want, because that importance is bringing me into these low vibration emotions. And so see how desire is down here at 125? That doesn't make it bad, but desire, people also say lust here, but desire has a presupposition that of lack. If I'm desiring something, then it means that I don't have it. And what do we know from the be do have, or the be have do? In order for me to have, what do I need to be? You want to remember? I have to be the vibration of that thing. So if I want to be happy, right? We don't have happy per se on here, but let's go with joy. Let's say I'm like, I want joy in my life. I want to be joyful. I want that to be like my predominant energy. What do we know about people that chase happiness?
They're never happy.
Never happy. Because happiness isn't something that you find, it's something that you are. It's something that's present right now, in this moment. It's not out there in the future. Happiness, joy doesn't have a contingency. The if, when, or if then. If I get that car, if I get that job, if I get that partner, then I'll be happy. We must be the happiness, the joy. And that takes away the importance of it. That takes away the attachment, because I don't have to find anything. All I'm doing is recognizing what's already here. I'm recognizing what is already here right now. I'm recognizing the abundance that's here right now. So if I have a goal for $1 million in the next year, there'd be other qualifying questions for me to answer, logic for me to answer in order to get those. Like, okay, what's the most I've ever made before? So is it really logical and rational for me to set a goal of $1 million in a year? Or is that just something that's going to set myself up for failure, to reinforce this idea of, see, I knew it couldn't work anyway. So self-sabotage. And this is what we were talking about earlier in the program with goals. We want to set ourselves up for success. We want to stretch ourselves. We want to take risk, but not set a goal that is pie in the sky. That'd be like me saying, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a doctor in a year. And we all know that that's not possible. There's a system and a process for becoming a doctor, and it takes years and years of study and tests and internships and all of that. And so we need to be able to bring our logic online and not just be in these upper chakras of like, I can just manifest and make it happen. And so up until this point, we've been doing a lot of lower chakra work. We've been working on the third, second, third. Did I say third, second, third? First, second, third chakras. Starting, first chakra is safety. our basic safety survival needs. And then we go up to belonging, feeling that we belong and are accepted in the world. And then that's also our creative center, our sexual center. That's how, we create in the world, is through that same center. And then our third center, which is where a lot of people get stuck, particularly women and spiritual people. This is, lower this here, our solar plexus right here between the belly button and the rib cage. That's our stomach. That's where our stomach is. And this is where our will is, what we want. This is where our ego is. This is where we can get a big ego and think of ourselves as better than other people and judge others and not accept others, think others need to be the way that we think that they should be, that the world should be how we think it should be, right? This is the realm of ego and will. And we want to aim for a healthy ego, healthy will, so that we're setting up win-win-win situations, a win for me, a win for you, and a win for the world. And so often we have win-lose situations, and particularly when we're in more of the people pleaser, not really being authentic, not allowing our will to shine through what we want, it becomes lose for us and win for the other people around us. And so we want it to be win-win, and then also a win for the world. And so a general rule is you can have anything that you want, anything that you want, as long as it doesn't hurt anyone else, and as long as you're willing to put in the work that it takes to get that. So if I want to be a doctor, there's a lot of work that goes along with that. And am I willing to do that? And so we're using our conscious mind, our logical, rational mind in this instance, and throughout most of today, we're tapping into conscious mind and the power and wisdom of the conscious mind when we use our brain and don't get caught up in delusional thinking. And that delusional thinking comes from avoidance and attachment, not wanting to look at things as they are, not wanting to look at what it will really take to get what we want, thinking we can just, manifest things into existence through affirmations, stuff like that. So, where are we at so far? Any questions on this? I'm going to pull up another. This. All right, I think I can do this. This one. Okay. So this is a condensed version of that scale. So you can see there's only 7 levels here. It doesn't have all of those same emotions. So these would be the main ones here. And you've heard me talk about before how anger is actually a higher vibration emotion, because underneath that is the apathy, the sadness, the hopeless, helplessness. And so this chart here shows you what the thought process is for each of the levels over here on this left side. And then on the right side, this is the action. So this should like this, right? what we did last week. So when we're in apathy, that's victim mode. The world's out to get me. It's a hostile world. It's not a supportive world. I'm a victim to my job, to my partner, to my kids. I'm complaining, and I always seem to be the one that's not on the receiving end of things. And so lethargy comes here. This is the shutting down. I'm just going to tune out, zone out, doom scroll. So when we go up to this next level of anger, then that's conflict that's there. And so this is where conflict can be a good thing. We want conflict because that's the realm of polarity. That's the realm of contrast. And so conflict can be a great thing because it can help us when we are not being averse to it, when we're not avoiding it, when we go into the conflict. Remember, Parissa, I said it always has the possibility of creating deeper connection.
Mm-hmm.
And it can raise our vibration. So embracing conflict is going to get us to the next level of forgiveness and responsibility. But what we tend to do is act in defiance. That's the resistance. That's the 3 R's: resistance, revenge. What's that other one, Vanessa? You were talking to me about revenge. No, I already said revenge.
Resentment, resistance.
Yeah, resentment, resistance, revenge, right? And so that's a form of defiance. And I'll show you. And that's a part of the conflict. But we need to go into this in order to get to the next level. And that's forgiveness. And that's where we're taking responsibility for our part. That's when we're able to let things go so that we're doing it for ourselves. We forgive for ourselves because we're tired of carrying it and being down here in conflict and victim. Now, forgiveness does not mean that we forget. It doesn't mean that we continue to let people into our lives to take advantage of us, to abuse us. We have boundaries, yet we can forgive and love someone from afar. We don't need to let them into our worlds. And so that results in more cooperation because now I'm coming from a place where I can trust more. Down here, I can't, there's no trust. How can you trust if you are coming from victim when you think the world is out to get you? So now when you're coming from responsible, you're able to trust more. You're able to let people in. You're able to play together, create together. And then ultimately, when we go up to the next level, be of service. That comes from compassion. Remember the difference between sympathy, empathy, and compassion. Sympathy is you're stuck under a rock. And I go, oh my gosh, that's so sad. That's so terrible. Let me get under the rock with you. And then we move up to empathy, where I'm feeling what you're feeling, but there's still no, like, I'm taking that on as well. I'm carrying that with me. And then compassion is I can hold space and I don't need to take that on. But what I can do is I can move that boulder for you. If you want my support in removing that boulder. But when people are down here in these lower levels, they don't want to take that boulder off. If they're out there drowning, they want to continue floundering and drowning because it's part of their identity. It's a part of their worldview, their lenses. And so also at compassion, that's where our core thought becomes more concern. And so you might think, oh, like, it doesn't get any higher than this, but guess what? It does. Because then we move to peace, and that's where we can have reconciliation. That's where we can move to acceptance. The world doesn't need to be the way we want it to be. And we can accept. Even acceptance of ourselves. Like, you know what? I would prefer that I look like Kim Kardashian, you know, or everyone's getting that flipped up nose, which so many of those are looking so bad. They're looking like pig noses. But people really want something. And so you can either do it, right? Or you can come to a place of acceptance. I accept that this is how I am. It doesn't mean it can't change, but right now, in this moment, this is what is. And I can be with this. So see how we're bringing back a lot of these terms and concepts that we've been working with. So then we go up to joy. And joy, this is where we have synthesis, where everything is coming together. We're getting everything, and we've got that wisdom that comes from it. True wisdom, because we've been through it. We've experienced it. And that's the difference between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is I read a book and I have an understanding of something. Wisdom means I've gone through it, or I've helped other people through it. The secondhand wisdom, the secondhand healing that we get. And then level 7, that's absolute passion. That's me the past few months. And now feeling a little, I'm feeling a little bit burned out from 5-6 hour nights of sleep back to back. So I'm more, I don't know, I'm somewhere down here a little bit more. I'm not at this place where I'm just like vibrating so high. I'm just like, that's creation. Remember, we talked about you're either consuming or creating. And let's be clear, we all consume, right? We all eat food. We all need food to survive. We all watch TV. We're all consuming, right? But we want to make sure that we're also transmitting, that we're also creating, that we're putting what's inside of us out into the world. Even if we're just doing it for ourselves, for our own enjoyment. And in this realm of absolute passion, that's where we truly get to a place of non-judgment, of accepting the world as it is. Accepting like the serenity prayer, the things that we can change, the things that we cannot change, and having the wisdom to know the difference. So we're going to be going through processes today to help you get to these upper echelons here. Sound good? Everyone want that? Yeah. Okay. So let me stop sharing my screen. Oh no, I'll share another thing then.
Lorraine, can I request the 2 charts that you've shown us so far?
Yeah.
Would you be able to put that into the Facebook chat?
Yeah, I'll totally do that.
Or somewhere that's accessible?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Thank you.
I'll do that over break. And then this one right here. So you all remember this from last week? I know this is not the best looking document, but this is essentially a self-coaching script. You can use it to coach yourself or other people, and you used it to coach each other last week. And so the first part of this process to empowerment and energy management is being able to coach ourselves. Let me write this here. Or energy management. So I said empowerment or energy management right there. And so the first part of this is going to be coaching. And so in this coaching area, the first thing that we learned, let me put this up so you can see me. The first thing that we learned is noticing, right? What's here right now? Going through that nest body scan. In noticing or number, what number am I, how activated am I right now? E, emotions. S, sensations. T, thoughts. And with thoughts, you can put in there stories. What are the stories I'm telling myself? What assumptions am I making? What meaning am I making out of this? And then we've got from there, in what we did from the noticing part, then we started connecting with our unconscious mind. Our unconscious mind. And that started off with, okay, there's something here. What comes up when I focus my attention on this spot right here, say, in my belly? And then can I start to communicate with it? If I say more, does it respond? Now I've got a two-way communication. Now I can ask it, what's the lesson here? What are you here to show me? That's the next level that we did. And then from there, we went into, before the conscious redirection, I think there was another little piece I put in there, but I'm blanking on it right now. But after that, we went to loving redirection. And with the loving redirection, we're letting our unconscious mind know, like, I know, we're telling it, I know you want to keep me safe. I know you think this is the strategy that you need to do in order to get my needs met, but this isn't working for me anymore. And if you look at the second class where I was working with Parissa, she went in and she was like, oh, I got it. And it all became clear. Right. And so that's loving redirection, where you get to have a conversation between you and you, between your unconscious mind and yourself. And then we went into a release process. And so, and we might do a little bit of that today, building upon it. But the release process, or letting go, that was, okay, so I've explored this. I see what's going on. I've done the nest meditation. I've communicated with my unconscious mind. And now let all the thoughts and stories go and just be with the energy that's here. Just be with the sensation. And then noticing what happens. And can I welcome more of this in? So that is welcome. Welcome that in. And then that is, can I let just 1% of this go? Can I let 2% of this go? And listening, is that a yes? No? Maybe? Heck no? Like, what is our body saying to the welcoming and to the letting go? And this letting go process is a softening that's happening, a relaxing. We go from being tight, tense, constricted, stressed, overwhelmed, to, I can breathe now. I can let that breath let go of the tightness and the tension, and I can come back to a soft muscle body. And so that's what the letting go is. And that comes from the question of, can I? Can I? And then you could go from there, could I? Or would I? And then let it go. And then you've got all of these questions right here as well that you can take yourself through in this coaching section right here. And now we're going to get into letting go even more. And part of that is going to be energy work. But before we do that, what questions do you have? Questions, comments, things that you love, like so far, aren't clear about? And it's okay if there's nothing as well. Okay. Well, then let me look at my notes real quick. See if there's anything else I absolutely want to cover before we go on break. Let's do, you know what, let's break this up. Let's do a little process and then we'll go on break. All right. Oh, I'll also add one of the things we did when we let go, when we welcomed and then we let go, we took it a step further. Step 2 is doing the same thing, but in a toward direction. What is it that I want? Going up that vibratory scale. And so I then said, notice a place within yourself where you feel resourced, where you feel neutral, or where there's a willingness, or where there's a forgiveness, you know, something that's higher up on that vibratory scale. And then can you welcome that in more? And can you expand on that more? And so that's the creation process. This is what I'm going toward. And then because you've been communicating with your unconscious mind, you have that relationship for the unconscious mind to say, okay, sure, I'll give you more. There's mutual trust that's there because your unconscious mind has to trust you as well. And so let's do another little practice around that. So think of a time in your life where you felt love, where you felt a lot of love, real high up there on that vibratory scale. And that could be love that you experienced with a person, either loving them or receiving love. This is one is not different than the other. Love is an energy. Love is us opening our hearts and letting energy flow in. Because that love doesn't come from someone else. It doesn't come from us. It comes from God, right? Love is God, and it's allowing that to come through. And so that could be with an animal, maybe a pet that you had that you really loved. It could be a gorgeous sunset that you saw, going someplace that's just beautiful, that your heart was just like kicked wide open. Like Sedona does that to me. So any time where you felt love, a high impact time in your life. Does everyone have something?
Yes.
Yeah. You, Catherine?
I'm thinking. Can't think of something.
It could be on vacation, even. Like I remember being on this island in the Bahamas with my kids and snorkeling, and there were food and drinks and hammocks, and it was a totally secluded island, just like laying in the hammocks, talking to my kids. High vibe time. I know you had said something about playing, kicking the ball around with your kids.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So I want you can close your eyes if that helps. It usually helps to increase the energy. So I want you to think about that and feel into your heart. Let your heart really soften and open up as you feel that high vibration feeling of love, that connection, that togetherness, the beauty, whatever that looked like. And notice what that feels like. Notice what your breath is doing. Go ahead and let your breath expand into your heart. Create more space for that loving energy. There you go. Feel the softening of all the edges around your chest, neck, face, as you feel that love. Notice what your face is doing. Maybe the corners of your mouth come up a little bit. Feeling that love. And now I want you to think about something that's just slightly annoying or bothersome. Just like a 1 or 2. We're not going to anything like real intense, just a 1 or 2. Maybe even if you see something in your room that's like out of place, or a patch on the wall that when you look at it, it just bothers you. Dishes in the sink. And notice how you feel now. And now let that go. Turn away from that, visually or otherwise, and then come back to that loving memory and feeling again. Breathe into that. And now think about that bothersome thing again. And now come back to your heart and the love, the openness, the softness, the care that's in your heart. And now think about that bothersome thing again. Now, out of curiosity, and there's not a right answer, does that bothersome thing feel less bothersome at all now, having gone back and forth? It's okay if it doesn't. This is like, you know. Yeah.
I think it actually got worse, to be honest.
Feeling the contrast. Feeling the contrast between the
Like
two.
there was like this stark love on one side, and then the other one, I was just like disrespect that just kept like, it was very, very stark in contrast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that amplified the contrast. Like, oh, this is what I wanted to be, or maybe this is how it should be, but instead there's this. Mhm. Yeah. All right. So I want you to go back into your heart again. And see if you can invoke that feeling of love, that high vibration emotion, without thinking about the memory or the person or the pet or whatever that is. See if you can just feel the love. There you go. Is everyone able to do that? Nod your head if you are. Maybe. All right. Now think about the thing again. Feel it. Now stop thinking about the thing. Stay with the sensation, the energy. Now, see if you can think of that bothersome thing now. And now superimpose that love on top of the bothersome thing. However you do that, that might look like you're projecting one scene and then another scene is now playing on top of it. Or it might look like you're plugging this heart energy into that scene. See if you can superimpose so that you're seeing or experiencing them simultaneously. And notice what happens. And I want to reinforce, you're not forcing this to happen. The only thing that you're controlling is, oh, okay, I'm going to do this, and now I'm going to see what happens. You're not making yourself feel a certain way or think differently. You're noticing what happens when you do this. All right, and now separate the two. Come back to the love feeling. Whether you're thinking about the specific person or situation in order to feel the feeling, or whether you're able to invoke it on your own. Take a deep breath. Feel this love even more. Welcome that, and even more. That's it. And now think about that slightly bothersome thing again. And notice if there's been a shift or a change. Again, there's no right answer. And you can come back. And if you would like to share about what that was like for you, you can take some shares before going to break.
I had to keep coming up with a new bothersome thing when we were going back and forth because I guess it sort of de-escalated by bringing the love. And I was like, wait, what was that thing I was thinking? Anyway, so that was sort of funny to me.
That's awesome. I love hearing that. How'd that happen? How'd you do that, Kristen? How did you all of a sudden stop being bothered?
I don't know that I stopped being bothered. I just was like, I can't remember what it was that was annoying me. But trust me, there was plenty of other things for me to pick from. So it was just I wasn't very consistent with my from moment to moment what I was focusing on with the annoyance.
Well, very often when we forget about that bothersome thing, it's because it doesn't bother us anymore. Yeah. And that happens all the time when I'm working one-on-one with someone. I'm like, so how do you feel about the problem now? They're like, what was the problem? The problem I just paid thousands of dollars to resolve. Now I can't even remember what the problem was. Yeah. Anyone else want to share?
Yeah, I want to share. At first, it was hard to think of a time when I felt that vast and soft feeling of love. And then within the short time that we did this practice, it's like I couldn't stop thinking about more moments where I felt that level of love. And it was really nice. It was really, what's the word? Heartening, if you know what I mean, as opposed to disheartening.
Love it. Beautiful. Yeah, it's again, it goes back to where attention goes, energy flows. So you put your, at first you're like, oh, what am I going to focus on? And it's like, oh, I'm going to put my attention on my heart. And now I see more and there's more. It's the same thing that happens with the gratitude practice. When we take the time to think about the things we're grateful for, all of a sudden we get more things to be grateful for. And we're living life in gratitude. Gratitude is connected to the heart center as well. It's connected with the heart and love. Yeah. Anyone else? No? All right, let's take a break. And we'll come back at like 5 after the hour. Sound good? Cool. All right, see you then.
Feel your way, the way he knows, the way he knows, the way he knows the way. You don't have to know the way knows the way. You don't have to plan the way. Trust the way, feel your way, the way he knows, the way he knows, the way he knows the way. You don't have to know the way knows the way. You to plan the way, trust the way, feel your way, the way he knows, the way he knows, the way he knows the way. You don't have to know the way, the way knows the way.
What you see is what you get, I got no mask on. What I do it to help take your mask off. Sonic boom when I open up, go blast off. I'm the truth that they thought they could get rid of. I embody everybody that they killed off. Before man and woman when we were just human. Divinity from within was the religion. To know what came before was the only intention. To reach ascension, you have to question everything you thought you knew, there's no exception. We cannot exist without human connection. It's the closest we get to other dimensions. There's no rush, seconds to minutes, all of it is a construct. If I could dream it is deeper than subconscious. I am the beacon for all who want to know us. Frequency beaming, you know I'm made of stardust. Oh, 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 you know I'm made of stardust. Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah. I am open, I am free, and my life is breathing me as I surrender to the will of the divine. No more stories of the past, I am shedding skins at last, and I realize I'm already in heaven. The moment I stop running from the demons in my head, and instead I choose choose to love them. When saying yes to life, both shadow and light, my suffering is done and I come alive. I am born and I will die, by each breath a final sigh. It doesn't matter where I go, I cannot hide. But when I find my sense of peace, I can walk through hell with ease. I might fall 1,000 times, but I shall rise. And the moment I stop running from the demons in my head, and instead I choose to love them. When saying yes to life, both shadow and light, my suffering is done and I come alive. I want to feel it all. I wear my heart on my sleeve, saying, here I am, can you see me? Oh, I am beautiful and fucked up in the most glorious way. When standing in my truth, who cares what people say? 'Cause the moment we stop running from the demons in our heads, and instead we choose to love them. When saying yes to life, both shadow and light, oh, our suffering is done and we come alive. Oh, the moment we stop running from the demons in our heads, and instead we choose to love them. When saying yes to life, both shadow and light, oh, our suffering is done and we come alive. Oh, the moment we stop running from the demons in our heads, and instead we choose to love them. Oh, and saying yes to life, both shadow and light, our suffering is done and we come alive.
If you save yourself from marriage, you're a bore. If you don't save yourself from marriage, you're a horrible person. If you won't have a drink, then you're a prude. But they'll call you a drunk as soon as you down the first one. If you can't lose the weight, then you're just fat. But if you lose too much, then you're on crack. Damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. So you might as well just do whatever you want. So make lots of noise, kiss lots of boys, or kiss lots of girls, if that's something you're into. When the straight and narrow gets a little too straight, roll up the joint, or don't. Just follow your arrow wherever it points. Yeah, follow your arrow wherever it points.
Okie dokie. Okay. So this is what we've been working on up until now. Now we're going to get into solutions mode. How do you get from all of this to that high vibration state? How do you work your way up that scale to get to a place of peace, acceptance, love, pure passion, right? And so let's talk about the problem. When you have a problem, there's one of three things that you can do. And there's only three things ever that you do when there's a problem, when there's something that you're worried about. So what would that first thing be?
Acceptance.
Acceptance is part of it. I'm going to, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be zooming out now. So with all of this, we were zooming in. How does this feel? What are your thoughts? What's underneath that? We're zooming in, getting more specific. Now we're going to zoom out. So I'm going to zoom out and take that and say, you can do something.
Find a solution.
You can do something. You can do anything, right? Do something. Second thing you can do would be do nothing and stew on it. Stew and spin. So do nothing and stew, spin, stress, worry, avoid. Right? So do nothing, do something. Third thing, guesses what that is? Let it go. And this you could also call acceptance. The problem is, we all know that we can let it go, but we just don't know how. Or we think we do, but we really don't. What we're doing is repressing and pushing down. So how do you know if you're repressing and pushing down or if you're really letting it go? Right? Well, the first thing is, have you done this? Have you really looked at the situation? Have you really looked at yourself? Have you looked at how you feel about it? What's coming up? Have you allowed your unconscious mind to do something with it and see what happens? Have you come into your heart around it and seen what comes up? And maybe you're like, oh, that doesn't really even truly matter in the big scheme of things. If I found out I had 2 weeks to live, would I be stressing about that? So this is the first part. This is mostly the unconscious processing. And then I don't think I want to bring that whole thing over here. So then we want to go to solutions mode. If this doesn't do it, or depending on the circumstances, we might go straight into solutions mode. One thing we want to ask ourselves that we haven't really covered, it's similar to the meaning that I'm making, that I sent you a video about that, how there's a fact and then we make meaning. And depending on our lenses, we can make different meanings about things. And the same thing is with assumptions. Assumptions are these rules that we hold about ourselves, about the world, about people, and we think other people know what these rules are. But once we start questioning things with our logical mind, we can realize, oh, wait, that person isn't playing by the same rules that I am. They're not playing by the same agreements that I am. And so when we're assuming things, you've heard you make an ass out of you and me when you assume. We have rules. So I can be dating someone. Let's talk about dating. And I can assume that we're exclusive and monogamous. But until we have a discussion about it and get on the same page about it, it's just an assumption. It's implied. It's implicit. It's not explicit. In order to make it explicit, we would talk about it and make sure we're on the same page thoroughly. And so often we have these implied rules and agreements that we think the rest of the world lives by, or that they should live by, and we don't actually question those. Do I actually need to have those rules? What's an example of a rule that maybe you live by or you used to live by, and once you question it, you're like, oh, I actually don't have to do that. Like I shared last week, I actually don't have to shave. It's a cultural norm. It's a rule. No, it's not. I can do whatever I want.
One that I've been working through lately is looking and dressing my age. Deciding that I can choose what my age looks like versus what I think everyone else thinks my age should look like. I mean, I still ask my kids, like, do I look ridiculous? Does this look too young? Does this look too old? I toiled over buying white shoes because I thought that was old lady shoes. But yeah, just releasing all that and deciding that I get to dress the age or the visage that I want and not what anyone else thinks I should be.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's a good example. What else? One that I used in the video I sent you was assumptions around wifely duties or husband duties. Well, every man is supposed to do this. Every man is supposed to do the yard work, take out the trash, do mechanical stuff. And as long as I have that rule and my partner doesn't have that rule, doesn't want to do that rule, I'm creating suffering. I'm tearing down the relationship because of my expectations and my assumptions about how it's supposed to go. And so what I can do is I can now bring it into dialogue to talk about, hey, these are things that need to be done. Are we going to take turns doing it? This is how I think it's supposed to be. Are we going to hire it out? Like, how are we going to handle these things and come to agreements about it? So noticing our assumptions, the things that we think are explicit that are really implicit. Implicit meaning it's implied. Well, everyone knows that. So we're operating by rules and agreements right now. We have been every week, every time we get together. What are some implied agreements that we've been operating from that I've never voiced? Rules or agreements I've never voiced, yet we've been playing by them. Just throw them out. Anything.
You're on time, mute when you're not talking, not show up to class naked on camera.
Yep. Did I ever say, make sure you're not naked? Make sure you're wearing clothes. No. Yeah. How about take turns speaking? Don't speak at the same time. Most of you have been keeping your cameras on most of the time. For the most part, I didn't make that rule. We didn't come up with an agreement. There's definitely been times where I've asked you to turn your camera on, but I never set a blanket rule. I didn't set context around that. It was implied. So we have these implicit rules and agreements that we operate from. And so we really want to look at those things. So that's a part of this process of getting clarity and finding solutions. What am I believing is supposed to happen here that's not happening? You can also call this expectations, right? And so let's think about a problem. Let's go with the universal. Since we're zooming out, I'm going to go with a universal problem. And that would be the state of the world today. Let's name some problems, no matter, what your political affiliation or religious affiliation, that doesn't matter. What are some problems with the world today?
Division.
Division, yep. What else?
Hatred.
Animal suffering.
Hatred. Did you say animal suffering?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What else?
Desensitized.
Desensitized. Yep. To violence, to sex, to whatever. And the eyes. This is good. We'll go with this. So we see this going a lot. There's a big divide in the world right now, a lot of polarity. We can even look at technology, social media contributing to that. The division, I'll say polarization. And because of that, hatred. And what are some assumptions that we make or that people make about other people because of the polarization, division, and hatred? What are some assumptions that are made about them, the other side?
Like they're all like that?
They're all like that. Like what?
Whatever your belief about the other side is.
Mm-hmm. How about uninformed? Uninformed. They're uninformed. What else?
They're bad, they're wrong, they're evil.
Wrong. What was the last one?
I said evil.
Evil. What else? Stupid. Brainwashed. Not thinking for themselves.
Crazy.
Crazy. Yeah. So as we look at each of these things, we can ask a question. Like, let's say we have a particular person in mind and we're saying all of these things about them. Can we absolutely know that they're uninformed?
No.
No. Can we absolutely know that they're bad and wrong?
No.
And that we're right? Let's take it a step further. What we believe, can we actually truly even know that what we believe, what we're being given, is actually right and true?
No.
Most of the time, no. Very rarely can we actually know, especially when we're zooming out on a big meta level. When we zoom in to a relationship, to a partnership, even then, like, I can be totally convinced of my perspective that that is the right way to put on the toilet paper.
Over, not under.
I know. And they're theirs, right?
That is actually not, that is the correct way.
This is how you put this
Over.
This is how you put this.
Over is the correct way. People with children and cats are exempt, but otherwise you're just wrong.
This is how you put the silverware in the dishwasher. This is how you load the dishwasher. Look, here's the manual. I'm right. I Googled it. I'm right. And it still doesn't change the other person's mind. But we don't know what other information that they're using to inform themselves. Right? So most of the time, the answer is going to be no. I cannot know that to be true. This assumption that I'm making, this judgment that I'm making, I don't actually know if that's true. Okay. All right. What are we supposed to do about it then? So we're going to come over here. And we're going to say, for this situation, is there something I can do about this? Is there something I can do? Yes or no? So in this situation where we're looking at hatred, division, we're looking at all kinds of information out there, conspiracy theories, and we're at odds with someone that we care about, Is there anything, let's say that's me. Is there anything that I can do about that? I'm going to say yes. In this situation, there are things that I can do about it. So what are things that I can do about that? If I'm in conflict with someone, we're at that, second stage, the second level in that 7 levels that I talked about. There's conflict. What can I do?
Get more information.
Get more information. And I can get that information by going to Google, by reading a book. I can get outside information. And then I can also ask them their point of view. So I can get curious and listen. Lufu, listen until they feel understood, or listen until I understand. Not listen so that I can build up my argument against it. Listen until I fully understand their point of view. What else can I do? Let's say there's this conflict and now we're not talking. This person and I aren't talking, and I'm sick to my stomach about it. I'm worried. I'm fearful of the relationship ending, but at the same time, I'm right. I'm angry. I feel hurt. I feel disrespected, but I want to mend that relationship. What else can I do?
Forgive.
You can give information and first like check in with yourself, see what you're feeling, ask them if they're willing to hold space, if they're willing to listen to you now, and then you can give more information.
Yep, I can give, ask to be heard, and usually, unless people have done work like this, people don't know how to do this. Right? But you can start by doing that. And by you listening first, it opens up the doorway for then you to be heard. Yeah, especially if you set context and agreement ahead of time, like, hey, I'd really like to talk about this. I really want to truly understand where you're coming from. And so I'd love to just ask questions about where you're getting this information, why you feel so strongly about it. And I'd love for you to hear me out as well. I'd love for you to really get where I'm coming from. So that's where we're being explicit about what it is that we want, rather than, I'm just going to do this and hope to slide in my point of view, and maybe I can get them to see my way of thinking. That's manipulation. That's not being explicit about what I want to create. So we've got some stuff here, right? And we could keep going with some solutions, right? But of these solutions, what am I willing to do? What am I willing to do? So that's the next step. So we'll put options here. And then willing. Of these things, am I willing to do those? If I'm in avoidance mode or attachment, I'm attached to being right? Attachment, I might do this one, but I don't know if it'll do any good. If I'm in avoidance, I probably won't do any of it. Right? And then that's when we go back to coaching. Okay, I'm noticing resistance here. Let me welcome in this resistance. Let me be with this resistance. Okay, what's in here? Can I welcome this more? And now can I let it go? Can I let it go? And what comes up now? And I can just, well, now this comes up, and just keep going with whatever's coming up until we're able to clear that out so that we don't have the resistance. And we'll probably still feel fear because we're human and that's natural. But when we go up that vibrational scale, we'll then be, because we've done the inner work, we'll be at a place of courage. And courage means I'm afraid and I'm doing it anyway. And so I'm going to go up and I'm going to say, hey, can we talk about this? I really care about our relationship. And there's conflict here. And I really want us to be in a better place around this and understand each other. And we don't have to agree, but at least we can understand where each other are coming from. Right? So am I willing to do it? So I have like 3 videos on YouTube about conspiracy theories. And I saw someone post today about how they just came across some teachings and it got them in a place of fear where they previously had believed that the world was a loving place, a good place, and then they started reading about Earth being a trap, a soul trap, and that we're all trapped here, and the powers that be are feeding off of our energy. And in order for us to escape this and have free will and not have to reincarnate here again and do it all over again, we have to learn the rules of how the game works and get out of it. And they talked about the Tibetan Book of the Dead, how it, I haven't read it, but how it reinforced similar concepts. And so she, the woman that posted this, is now in a place of fear and stress and worry. And like, I'm not sure what to do about this. Okay, well, what can I do about it? Is there something I can do about that? Is there anything that I can do? If this is indeed a soul trap planet, what can I do about that?
Nothing.
Yeah.
So why worry?
Exactly. Yeah. What we do know is that if it's a soul trap planet that is designed to keep us trapped and feed off of negative energy, I didn't say that part. It feeds off of negative energy. And so in the conspiracy theory world, a lot of these things that happen, like the Las Vegas shooting years ago, it's believed that these are things that have been curated by the cabal, the evil powers that exist in order to get people in fear and hatred and fighting each other, that they want the conflict because it creates this negative energy that they then feed off of. And that negative attachments, negative energies, if in the shamanic world, even in Christianity, like demons, you can get possessed. These things that can attach to us and control us and suck up our energy. Notice how the vibe is like lowering as I'm talking about this stuff. Well, what we do know is that in an empowered state, in a high vibrational state, there's nothing for them to feed off of. There's nothing for attachments to attach on. Those dark, shadowy things can't survive in the light. Because what happens to the dark when you shine the light? There's only light. And so by focusing on ourselves, that's something I can do. That's something I do have power over. I can focus on my own energy and the energy that I'm bringing into the world. And so this whole philosophy of this being a Earth being a soul trap could absolutely be true. It could totally be true. But what is it doing to me to believe in that? And so this comes back to what I was talking about presuppositions. It's a convenient truth that if I believe it, it can make my life better. So this whole vibrational scale, convenient truth that if I believe it and I work with it, I can make my life better. I don't need to let things that I have no control over, that I can do nothing about, or that I'm not willing to do anything about, control me. I could spend all day, I'm going to spend all day writing to my congressperson. I'm going to go to all of the protests. These are all things that I could do in the political situation. Am I willing to do that? Am I willing to write all day? How do I feel? Is that the vibration? Is that the vibration I want to be at, that I want to be operating from? And that's where the true choice comes in. Is going to the protests, writing Congress people all day long, is that really going to have the impact that I want? Is it going to make that much of an impact? Or will it make more of an impact for me to vibrate high, for me to be happy, for me to do like Parissa did last week, be empowered with tools, and now, oh, look, I got to share this with family members and improve their lives. I can't do that if I'm vibrating at the lower states consistently. Would you all agree? It's a convenient truth that if we believe it, it'll make our lives a lot better. So we came up with a bunch of solutions, right? So that next piece is, so we got our options.
Lorraine, I'm sorry, I was writing. What was it you said? If you believe what, it will make our life better?
So it's called a presupposition. So things that I suppose, and I'm supposing ahead of time, right? So it's a presupposition. It's a convenient truth that if I believe it, it will make my life better.
Okay.
It may or may not be true.
Okay.
Just like conspiracy theory, it may or may not be true. Just like anyone's religion, it may or may not be true. None of us really know. But I can ask myself, by believing this, is this making my world better? My world meaning me and the people around me that I care about. Is believing in hell and damnation and that there's evil everywhere and that the world's going to end and I got to fight against all this stuff that's out there, is that going to make my world better? For some people, the answer is yes. They get a lot out of that. It fuels them. Just like going up that vibrational scale, anger is a higher vibration. It motivates us and it can elevate us to a higher vibration as long as we don't get stuck here. As long as we don't attach to it. Right? So we can get attached to these ideas. For me, personally, I'm like, when it's my time, it's my time. I don't want to spend my life in stress and worry about the future. I can do some planning, but I'm not gonna what do you call what's the name for the people that have the compounds and they're making all the canned goods, they've got the shelter, they got the guns. What's the name for people that are doing that? Anyone remember?
Survivalists or
like
militia.
survivalists. Yeah.
Doomsday.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah. And a lot of people get a lot out of it. And I'm not here to judge them for that. That's their path. That's giving them something to it's giving them direction. and on some level bringing them happiness. Right? So, am I willing to do it? So if it's yes to these, then go ahead and do it. Follow through. It's the in-between stage, that this number 2, that gets us. We think hell is the worst place to be. Hell is not the worst place to be. The worst place to be is in limbo. Because when you're in hell, at least you know you're in hell. You know where you're at, and you're like, okay, let me make the most out of this, right? But when you're in limbo, it's that I don't know state. I don't know. I'm confused. I'm overwhelmed. And I told you in our last class that I don't know, confusion and overwhelm is its own set of emotions. It's not really an emotion. What it is it's a free state. So we got fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. Fawn is the people pleasing. I'm going to make my environment safe, so that I feel safe. Freeze is deer in headlights. I shut down. I don't do anything. Confusion, overwhelm, and I don't know are all ways that we cope. It's a coping mechanism. It's a survival safety mechanism to keep us safe. Because at some point, we couldn't handle the emotions, the thoughts, beliefs, the situations that were coming at us. And so we froze. And so it's this perpetual free state that keeps us from moving forward because it thinks we can't handle it. But as Catherine learned last week, oh, wait, I can handle this. That pressure that was on me in the past that made me think I have to do something right away. Otherwise, I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not whatever. That pressure isn't actually there anymore. But what is there is the perceived threat. And I don't think we have time to get into perceived threat. I really wanted to do a whole class around trauma and perceived threats. That basically, right now in this moment, are you safe? Are you sure? Look around your room. Are you absolutely safe? Are there threats in your environment that could harm you? What could harm you in your environment?
Like the shelves on my wall could fall.
Yeah. They could fall. Yeah. But right now, they're not. Are they teetering and tottering?
No.
No. Mm-mm. Yeah. Someone could storm in at any time. Some stranger could storm in at any time with a knife or gun. It could happen. But in this now moment, it's not happening. And the way that you know if you're in a fight, flight, freeze, fawn state, if you're perceiving threat that doesn't exist, is tuning into your body. Is there tightness? Is there tension? Is your breath shallow? Then your body is responding to perceived threat. Right? So I tuned in. I noticed some shallow breathing because there is fear. There's a level of fear here. Is my message getting across? What are you guys thinking about me? Are they going to leave a bad review? Tear down my business? There's all kinds of things that could happen. And on the subconscious level, we're processing all that. Are they accepting me? So that's why tuning into our body informs us so much. Ooh, perceived threat, fear, attachment. Let's take a breath. Yeah. Find that softening in the body. So all of these things I've taught you so far are all ways that we can get ourselves out of that perceived threat state and into the now moment of softening, relaxing, breathing fully. All right. Let's see, where did I leave off? So yeah, so the options, the willingness, then when we do it, it's like going down the 5 whys: who, what, when, where, how. So making a plan: who, what, when, where, how am I going to go about doing it and doing it. So then if the answer is no to this question, is there something I can do? Then we want to say, are you sure? Really? We positive? No. Sure. Are you sure? And if the answer is no, I'm not sure, then we want to go here. And if the answer is, yeah, I'm positive, there's really nothing I can do about this conspiracy theory, there's nothing I can do, or there's nothing I'm willing to do. Right? And that's a really important distinction. Yeah, there's things I can do, but I'm not going to do that. So then the answer is to let go. Same here. Let go.
What is it when it's I'm not sure?
So I'm not sure. You would go over here. Okay, well, what are the options? And of those options, what am I willing to do? And then do it. The 5 W's. Who, what, when, where, how. Who, what, when, where, how, the 5 W's. And then when you do it, you can let go of the things that don't serve you. You could still let go. Like, okay, I'm going to do it, but I'm afraid. So let me process and let go of the fear, or any excess fear, any excess importance around this, where I'm building this up and making it such a big deal. Like, let me let that go. Let me come back to my heart. All right, let me see where we're at. Oh my goodness, we're at 9 o'clock already. I didn't get to do the energy work part that I wanted to get to. But we'll do that on Thursday. I knew there was a chance we wouldn't get around to everything today. That's okay. One thing I want to add here, somewhere in this mix, I haven't decided exactly where to put it, but I think it's probably good to put it both places, is responsibility. Let me do this. And then we also want to do that up here. What can I take responsibility for? And what responsible looks like is I chose or I choose. I chose or I choose. Because that takes us from victim down at the lower vibrational scale, on that vibrational scale, victim. That takes us up to, where's responsible on there? Responsibility is at the level of forgiveness. And again, that doesn't mean blame or fault. So what can I take responsibility for in this situation, either in the past or going forward in the future, like now and going forward? So in the political discussion, what are ways that we can take responsibility before I turn the page? I want to point out this right here. Is this responsible? This is doing nothing. And then feeling like we're a victim to our circumstances. So this is also called being at effect. So there is cause and effect. We know that we live in a world of cause and effect, and calls it cause and effect. So when I'm at cause, I'm at a place of responsibility. I'm at a place of possibility. When I'm at responsible, or when I'm at cause can also mean getting down to the root, right? When we coach to get down to the root of the situation, that root is the cause of why I have these lenses and why I see things in the world, and why I'm having knee-jerk triggered reactions to the polarity that's out there. Either I'm lashing out and contributing to the hate, or I'm closing myself off to protect myself from the hate or the polarity. That's effect. That's being at effect rather than cause. Cause is I am the epicenter of my world. If I'm in the past, living from past triggers, then those past triggers are the cause. Versus, oh, I've gone through that, and now I, in this moment, am at cause. I choose. I have my intention. I have my goals. I'm forward facing. I know what I want. I'm choosing to be a place of peace and harmony and forgiveness. And yeah, sometimes I go into the anger and the shame and the lethargy and the apathy. That's a part of life, and I can accept through that. Sometimes it can take a while to move through it. It's not as quick as the processes that I've taken you through. 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes. Sometimes it's days for me to do this processing work that we've done in each of the classes. But I'm responsible. I'm choosing to do that. I'm choosing to fill into it rather than avoid it, rather than attaching to what I think should be. So what about here? What can I take responsibility for in this situation of how the world is, how I respond, the polarity. Oh wait, that's worry anxiety. Where did it go? Oh, it's here. The polarization, the division, the hatred, all of these assumptions. What can I take responsibility for here?
Not being additional noise in those things, contributing to it. I can choose to be within my own ethics and not perpetuate the division or perpetuate hatred.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we can ask ourselves, is it doing any good? Is it doing anything good? One could argue that it does. It's waking people up. People need to be woken up. But what we know about human behavior is coming at people with hatred and not trying to understand them doesn't wake them up. It just digs their heels in more. Right? It creates more of this, more polarization, more misunderstanding, more hatred, more division. Yeah. And I can take accountability for the thoughts that I've had about other people, the judgments, and for responsibility, I can move into acceptance. Someone doesn't need to view the world the same way as I do in order for me to love them, in order for me to respect them. Because I notice when I feel in my body this closed off, tight, contracted feeling, is this what I want to feel? Is it that important? Yeah, it is. Maybe it is. Maybe there's something more to look at here. And I don't just want to let it go. There's more here to process. There's more to look at. There's more to know. If I come to a certain place, then I can say, I'll let it go. And that's tuning in. Can I let this go? Can I let go 1%? And if you let go 1% every day for a month, that's like 30%. That's pretty significant, yeah? Yeah. So I'd love to go around 30 seconds each. My biggest takeaway from today is, and let's say my biggest positive takeaway. So not something negative about yourself, but your biggest positive takeaway from today is, and whoever would like to begin can begin, and then I will start the timer. 30 seconds.
My biggest takeaway as we've been going through it is how what we've learned and all the steps and the clarity from the charts, all the things actively can work now in my life. Like how I'm able to see certain things in my life now. I can use these or ways I can help teach others to do the stuff.
Awesome. And Vanessa, why don't you select the next person to share?
Catherine.
I will say, I think I really got a lot out of let go of the things that you can't control and that don't make your life better. Someone doesn't have to view the world the same way as I do.
Mm.
I got a lot of good things tonight, Lorraine.
Good.
But 30 seconds, that's what I'll say. Is that okay?
Yep, that's great. Who would you like to go next, Catherine?
Kristen.
My positive takeaway from tonight is how freeing taking responsibility can be, or how empowering taking responsibility is.
Mm. Mhm.
Vanessa, do you want to go?
Vanessa went first.
Sorry. Marissa.
Can I go after Tiffany? I'm still trying to find what it is.
I think my biggest takeaways were really the worksheets and seeing that visual of the layers of energy and the vibrations, and having that clarity on attachment and commitment. Attachment feels like expectation to me, and commitment feels like surrender. So just seeing it from that perspective was a takeaway for me. Okay, Parissa, you're up.
Yeah, I'm like, I have the same thing as Kristen, how empowering it is to take responsibility, and how like forgiveness and responsibility go together according to that chart, which was really helpful to look at. And they create like cooperation. I had found myself stuck in conflict in the 3 R's and not using conflict to get to forgiveness. So I'm looking forward to that. That's the positive.
Cool. All right. I will see you all on Thursday. I'm going to send out a video or two for you to watch between now and then. All right.
Maureen, can I go back and ask a quick question? And I don't know if it'd be helpful for anyone else.
Anyone
The
else? And if anyone
charts.
has to go, if anyone,
Oh, sorry.
if anyone else has to go, if there's time constraints, feel free to go. But I'll definitely stick around for questions or coaching. Yeah. Go ahead, Vanessa.
Like on the Hawkins scale,
Mm-hmm.
where in that scale, obviously it's going to be toward the top, would you say that people start expressing authenticity? Where does authenticity sit in that scale?
So authenticity is the highest vibration. Yeah.
Okay, so that's like enlightenment. That's
just like
another thing.
love, and this isn't something that I said, just like love, it can exist at all of the levels. So like, even if you're down at apathy, love still exists there. Apathy is love's, you know what? I have this written down. Let me pull this up real quick so that I can get this exactly right. So let's go all the way down to the bottom. Shame. Shame is love's cry for acceptance. And guilt is love's cry for forgiveness. And grief and apathy are love's cry for remembrance, right? You want to remember things that are important, people that are important. Fear is love's cry for safety. And desire or lust is love's cry for pleasure. And so I share that because, again, this vibrational scale has been used to bring abuse. That if I'm feeling anything in those low vibration emotions, any of my humanness, that I'm doing something wrong. And spiritual teachers and coaches have done this, and we do it to ourselves. I'm supposed to be manifesting all the time. Great stuff. And I was, and why isn't it happening anymore? Why aren't I feeling that bliss and that vibration and that joy? Why aren't I feeling that all the time? We have an aversion to the lower emotions and attachment to the positive, and that creates suffering. But really, love exists at all of these. It's love's cry, it's love's wanting, it's love's desire for that acceptance, for that remembrance, for belonging, for justice. And so it's all love. And authenticity as well has that ability to exist at all of those levels, right? How much more authentic is it for me to like be in touch with my anger and for me to fully feel my anger? Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Responsibility means finding a way to get to choice, though. Finding a way to get to choice so that the anger isn't controlling me. So I'm not stuck here, right? Emotion is energy in motion. We want to let it move. If we attach to the emotion, like the level, like the Enneagram 4 that I talked about, but my pain is so beautiful. It's the source of all my creativity. That's attachment. My parents, they're so fucked up. That's me being attached to anger, being a victim, blaming my parents, not taking responsibility for the fact that I'm an adult now. And yes, those things have, from my past, have affected me up until now, but now I get to choose. I can come to my heart and I can feel love in my heart in this now moment. How does that happen? I can feel happiness and joy right now simply by thinking a thought. And then eventually I don't even need to think a thought. I can just flip a switch and go, here I am, peace, love, joy right now. Right here. I don't need anything in my external environment to change for me to feel peace, love, joy right now. Now, my external environment could change and I could go into fear. Someone could storm in with a gun and then I'm going to go to fear. That's authentic expression. What am I going to do? Be like, no, I'm not supposed to be in fear. I'm supposed to be in peace, love, joy. Yeah. So I'm glad you asked that question, Vanessa. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yes. Can you talk about respect a little bit? Like, is respect love's cry for love? I respect had come up a lot with my partner, and I'm just trying to understand how respect shapes somebody and what it's really about. What's underneath that demand for respect?
So the desire to be respected.
Yeah, and desire. It's not like, in my instance, it's almost not even a desire, but like an expectation, because it doesn't come across as it's very hostile.
So this is a layered question, because something like respect, I think I'd want to do some coaching down around it to find what is the emotion that's under there, because respect is not an emotion, it's more of a state. like I want to look into this more so I can give you a better answer. But what I would do is coach you down around that. When you're not respected, how do you feel? And what are your thoughts? How does that cause you to behave? That kind of thing. Any of the things on the self-coaching sheet. I'm going to take that and I'm going to make that sheet look better. I'm going to give it to AI, tell it to make it look better, and I'll pop that in the chat for you all. So if you want to do some self-coaching on your own, then you can do that and have it just like look better. Yeah.
I have so many thoughts around Carissa's question because and I think probably a lot of us, everyone's had a bad relationship or whatever, but Carissa, would you, I mean, I'm not withstanding what Lorraine would be sharing with you, but would you be willing to can I share with you maybe offline what my thought is about what you specifically asked?
Yeah, sure.
Would you be open to sharing it now?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's fine. I just don't want to take up any additional time. I feel like there's a difference between there's respect and then there's weaponizing of the term respect and using it two different ways. To me, in a healthy way, wanting to be respected is to be understood and accepted. You know, I respect you for your views. They may not be my views, but I respect you for, you know, you being vegan and your commitment to that and the things. That's not something I share, but I appreciate where you are and how convicted you are. Then there are those that will weaponize respect and say, you will respect me, which in someone who sees that as being a way to wield authority is going to be more of, you will do what I say, you will see me as a power greater than you, and you will obey because I am to be respected. And this person doesn't really feel like they have to do anything to earn that respect. They haven't shown, you know, given me the opportunity to also be understood and accepted. It's more of an authoritarian type of thing that we would see from people that's, you know, I was in a 17-year narcissistic relationship, and that was one of his big things is you need to respect me. And it meant you need to do what I tell you. You need to fall in line and that kind of thing, which I don't feel like is actually the appropriate terminology, the definition of respect. Does that make sense? So healthy people, people that aren't fucked up, will be like, I respect you because of who and what you are, regardless of my beingness around that. Mm-hmm. The other is it's more weaponized.
Yeah. That's a good example of how we can have different ideas or definitions of what respect is. So on that list of coaching questions, I don't think I have it there, is what is your definition? So respect is a concept that can mean different things to different people. And people can disrespect us, but depending on how we feel about respect, how we feel about ourselves, will dictate how we respond to disrespectful behavior, whether we allow ourselves to be disrespected. Yeah, I am curious about like how that shows up in the vibrational scale though, and I'll ponder that and get back to you.
Do you, along like in this similar vein, do you have any tips for people who are very into the patriarchy? Like it's a cultural thing where I'm from, and talking to men who support the patriarchy and are very passionate about it and tell you that absolutely feminism is not a good thing. Um, how, like, is it okay to hold space for people? How do you do it for these people? Or like, do you do the like limited interaction type thing?
So that all comes to choice. But if we were to use these skills and tools, let's say it's someone that you care about, a sibling, someone that you either want to have in your life or someone that you're required to have in your life because of relation, because of work, you just, you're gonna be in each other's worlds. Then we come back to, these skills here, and one of them being the there are 3 ways, the video on the 3 ways that we communicate. I either agree with you and I'm right, I disagree with you and I'm right, or I could be with. That's interesting. I don't have to be right in that situation. I can still be strong in my own beliefs, but I don't have to win this argument. I can be with, and I could learn a new perspective. So I think of this Black man, I don't remember his name, but I think he's been able to talk to Ku Klux Klan members, and I think he's converted over 200, including Grand Masters, into no longer being a part of the KKK and believing in white supremacy, because he got curious about them first. He asked them questions. And they're like, oh, well, this guy's pretty cool. He's just like me. How can I hate him? How can I believe that he's not as much of a person as I am just because of the color of his skin? And so it's an act of love. It's emotional Aikido. Aikido is a martial art where we're not meeting force with force. We're taking the force that's coming at us and we're moving with it. We're dancing with it. And that's considered an act of love. I'm taking this energy that's coming at me and I'm transmuting it. Not by fighting with force, but just wearing the person out, essentially, with Aikido. Bye, Catherine. Bye.
Bye. I'll see you Thursday.
So then there's the being with. Yep. See you Thursday. So there's the being with. And then what meaning am I making out of this? What am I making it mean about him? He's a terrible person, yada, yada. What's the meaning I'm making about myself? Because I do say something or I don't say something. What assumptions am I making? What rules do I have? Because if you listen to these guys long enough, they make sense. There really is a crisis going on for men right now. I watched a podcast about it the other day that was really enlightening, of these 2 experts. Of course, even that, they're getting paid, so you got to take that with a grain of salt. But it's not a great place for men to be right now, because women are now outperforming and out earning men. Not across our lifetimes, because when women have children, they take a dip and the opportunities become less available. But in general, women are out earning men now. They're more educated than men. They're more emotionally educated. They have a higher emotional intelligence, higher intelligence in general. And so women biologically want a partner at the same level or higher. And let's face it, men do as well, unless they want to have power and control over someone. And so that pool is getting smaller and smaller for women, especially when there's also, well, he needs to be over 6 foot tall. He needs to be attractive. He needs to be making this much money. And so the same pool of women are going after like 10% of all the men. And then the rest of the men on the dating apps aren't getting given a chance at all, because they don't fall into those standards for women. And so men really have to get their act together. But particularly, for a white man, they've never been in a situation like that before. So it's like, wait, what? Things are supposed to go my way, and now it's not. I'm not able to get a job. Oh, all the jobs, if I'm not able to get a job, it's because it's going to affirmative action. It's going to women, it's going to minorities. And so now I'm out of a job, right? I'm not able to get laid. I'm not able to find a partner, someone that wants to stay with me. And women say they want someone to approach them, but when I do, I'm a creep. And now people are recording everything all the time, and they're recording these creepy interactions with men. I'm going to end up on the internet as some creepy person. So what am I supposed to do if I can't get matched up with someone online? If I can't approach someone in person, what am I supposed to do? And the fact is, there's going to be a lot of men that don't get partnered. And a lot of women as well. But as women are becoming more empowered, they're caring less about becoming partnered. They're caring less about lowering their standards in order to have someone. So, I mean, these are realities. So people that, men that are a part of like the red pill manosphere, patriarchy, there are some legitimate concerns there. And it's true that feminism has been a great thing for women's empowerment, and it's also had some negative consequences, which is the case with everything. Everything has its good and bad. Everything has its side effects. When a pendulum is swung really far in one direction, it's going to swing really far in the other direction as well. And hopefully it evens out. In Buddhism, it talks about, the middle path, the middle way. And but like right now with polarity, it's swinging. And one thing we can do by lessening importance on things, like, it's okay for them to think that way. I can be curious. And then based on my curiosity, that opens up the door for me to offer another perspective that maybe they hadn't thought about. And maybe it does some good, maybe it doesn't. But when we get attached to pendulums, then we're going all over the place rather than being more steady within ourselves. We're swinging all along that vibrational scale, high, low, all over the place, rather than having more of a steadiness. Yeah. What's it like?
I would be curious to,
Yeah.
oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Vanessa.
I would be curious to, talking to someone who's very entrenched and very deeply ingrained in a patriarchal society, like a cultural situation, not just, I watch this red pill guy a couple times a week. But from a cultural background, to ask questions like, what are some strong beliefs that you have around women and around the tiers of hierarchy, and what evidence do you have of that? If you've seen something different, what does that look like? How does that really kind of get into what their perspectives are, and then ask questions like, well, what if that wasn't true? Or what's maybe someone that you've seen break that mold? What is those are like, I mean, all of us have been taught certain things just, on the nurture side of our humanity. I don't know. I've never really had that conversation with someone who has had a cultural ingrainment, a really strong, like, male dominated family oriented situation. That would be an interesting conversation to have, to find out why is this important to you? Who told you that? What evidence do you have? What can you bring to the table with it? You just have to be careful to have that conversation with someone who's safe to have that conversation with, and not, someone who would take it as, because I said so, because you'll die and you'll go to hell. And, that would.
Yeah, how someone responds to you tells you a lot about who they are in that relationship, and if that's someone that you want to put your effort into, because that's your resources, that's your time, energy, attention that you could be putting towards something else.
Yeah, because I mean, even in the end, even if they don't change their mind, that you're not going to shift them in any way. I feel like sometimes whenever I gain a better understanding of someone, it softens my ideas around them. They could be the exact same person when they walk out the door after the conversation, but I feel better knowing that, knowing who they are as a person, where they come from.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember?
Not always. Sometimes they're a bigger dick, but.
Do you remember when we talked about damning, how we damn other people? Yeah. So we damn and we withhold, right? So damning is you're a closed-minded, patriarchal person who lives in a small town or a big city, whatever we think is closed-minded, not educated, and we damn people. But when we can be curious, we can let go of our strict rules and assumptions and worldview and how we're placing that on other people, we often find that the same grace gets bestowed on us. That when we can accept other people where they're at, their path, then acceptance gets bestowed on us.
That's where that mutual respect comes in. I respect you for who you are, not my beliefs, and hopefully you'll respect me in return.
Yeah, I'm still not sure where that would go on the vibrational scale. It could be at that acceptance level. It could be the same thing, respect and acceptance. I'm going to study that. So what's it like hearing all this, Parissa? What's coming up for you?
It's really it's helping me organize my thoughts a lot better. Because it was a good reminder of like what I'm willing to do, and if I'm simply not willing to do it, like, it doesn't make me a bad person. It just makes me a person who chooses the power of choice and to be in an empowered state, given what I'm willing to or not willing to offer up in terms of my time and energy and other resources.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we can make ourselves miserable thinking of all of the things that are wrong with the world. Because there's no way that we could possibly give our time and energy to everything to make things better. And so to create empowerment and peace within ourselves, we've got to be able to, we've got to be willing to put our heads in the sand essentially, and say, what power do I have here? What can I do? What can I do? What am I willing to do? What am I really willing to do?
Yeah.
And then do that. So for me, I barely watch the news. I know there's a lot of stuff going on that people are outraged about, but it's like, what good is that doing me to be taking that in? What is that doing to my vibration? And my willingness, the things I'm willing to do are things like this, where I'm creating a solution. Other people, their path is to be the ones that are like protesting and yelling and screaming. That's their job. That's where they're at. That's where they are on the vibrational scale. And there's power there. But that's not my choice. I've done that. I've been that person. And now I am creating more peace. I'm creating more understanding. I'm creating more compassion through my teaching, through my coaching, and all of the ripples that each of you that are drops that ripple out. So that's this, to me, everything I'm teaching here is the solution. This is what the world needs. In my opinion, this is what the world needs. And so I'm sharing it. Cool. All right. Well, I will see you two on Thursday. Vanessa, do you have a little bit of time for me to talk to you?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Sure.
Thank you. Bye, guys. See you soon.
Have a good night, Carissa.
Yeah.
Let me stop this recording.